There are moments when the pain tightens in a way we can't understand. You pray, you trust, you try to keep your faith. But it seems that the more you seek God, the more the battles increase. And then comes the question that many of the chosen ones silently ask: why do I suffer so much? Maybe you're in that moment right now. You feel like everything is going wrong, that your strength is gone, and you even begin to question whether you're truly someone called by God. After all, shouldn't it be different for those who have faith? Shouldn't things work out? But what if I told you that your suffering is not a sign of rejection? It's proof that God has entrusted you with a mission that few could endure. What if what you're living right now has everything to do with the story of a man named Job? Job was faithful, righteous, a true chosen one. But that didn't spare him from pain. In fact, it led him straight into it. He lost everything, was humiliated, judged, and even thought about giving up. But there was a purpose behind every tear. If you've been feeling like that, this message is for you. Here you'll understand why your faith is being tested like Job's, and what that means for your future. Before we continue, I want to ask you one thing. If this message has already touched your heart up to this point, follow this page and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any part of this study that can change the way you see pain, and most importantly, remind you that you're not alone on this journey. Let's walk together. There are many chosen ones who are living through a dark time, not because they went astray, not because they did something wrong, but precisely because they decided to walk with God. And then the question arises, why am I going through this? It's as if pain has become a daily thing, and faith, a constant fight not to fall apart. Have you ever felt like that? Like, the more you seek God, the more things fall apart? It seems that while some live in peace, you struggle just to survive each day. That hurts. It hurts because we expect God's favor to mean tranquility, but many times, favor attracts war. But let me remind you of something. Being chosen does not mean being spared from pain. It means that your life carries spiritual weight, that something great is being prepared, and for this reason, your faith is being refined like a rare jewel. You are not weak. You are valuable. And here is where the mystery lies. God allows trials in the lives of those He trusts most. It might seem unfair, but it's profound. If you are being tested, maybe it's because all of heaven knows your capacity, because there is a mission that only you can fulfill, even if right now it feels too heavy. The chosen ones are not those who live a faith without problems. They are those who remain steadfast even when they don't understand. They are those who, like David, can still say, "Bless the Lord, O my soul," even with tears in their eyes. Pain does not cancel the promise. It only prepares you for it. And listen, God is not silent because He forgot about you. He is working in the unseen, strengthening your roots. Even if on the outside everything seems to be drying up. Sometimes He stays quiet because He wants you to hear your own heart being forged. You might feel abandoned, but you are not. God sees your faithfulness in secret, your unanswered prayers, your tears on the pillow, every pain, every doubt, every moment of anguish. All of it is being counted as honor in heaven. The chosen one never suffers in vain. So, if you are walking through a valley, do not despair, do not give up. Remember that even Jesus was led by the Spirit into the desert before beginning His ministry. The desert is not the end. It is only the beginning of what God is about to do through you. Job, the chosen one who hit rock bottom. Now that you understand that the chosen ones are tested, let's talk about someone who lived through this like few others. Job. A good man, righteous, faithful. He did everything right. He was respected, had a beautiful family, possessions, health. And yet, in the blink of an eye, he lost everything. Imagine waking up one day and finding out that you've lost your children, your possessions, your health, and the respect of everyone. That's what happened to Job. He became unrecognizable. His pain was so intense that he even wished he had never been born. But even so, he did not blaspheme against God. The hardest part to understand is that Job did nothing wrong. On the contrary, he was tested precisely because he was a man of integrity. The enemy questioned his faith, and God allowed the test. That challenges us deeply, because it shows that suffering is not always a consequence of sin. Maybe you're living something similar. You look around and can't understand why you're being attacked so much. It seems unfair, doesn't it? But Job shows us that pain doesn't mean God abandoned you. It means your life carries something that disturbs hell, and heaven is watching your faithfulness. Job lost everything, but he didn't lose his faith. Even broken, covered in ashes, and rejected, he kept his heart turned toward God. That's what it means to be chosen, to remain firm when there's nothing left. When faith doesn't bring gain, recognition, or reward, only pain and silence. And even then, to keep believing. There's a part that moves me deeply when Job says, "Even though he slay me, yet will I hope in him." That is mature faith. It's trusting when you can't see a way out. It's knowing that God is good, even when everything around says otherwise. That's what God looks for in his chosen ones. Job's life also shows something important. His friends didn't understand his pain. Instead of comforting him, they accused him. They judged him. They said he must have sinned. That still happens today. Those going through trials are often judged by people who don't understand what's happening. If that has happened to you, don't let it poison your heart. Job didn't allow other people's opinions to separate him from God. Even without understanding the reason for his suffering, he stayed faithful. And in the end, God restored everything twice over. But not only that, God spoke to him, and that is greater than any blessing. Maybe your story is in the middle of chaos right now, but it doesn't end here. Job began in the dust, but he ended in honor. And you, chosen one, will also be honored. The process is painful, but the glory will be greater. Keep going, persevere. Heaven has its eyes on you. The silence of God is also an answer. There's a part in the story of Job that really moves us. It's when he prays, cries out, pleads, and God simply doesn't respond. Total silence. No explanation, no sign, nothing. And perhaps this is one of the hardest moments in any chosen one's life, when heaven seems silent. Have you ever gone through that? The feeling of talking to yourself, of praying and not feeling anything, of asking for direction and only hearing the echo of your own cry. God's silence can hurt more than the pain itself, because we expect a word, a relief, an answer, and what comes is emptiness. But God's silence is not God's absence. In fact, many times it's the greatest sign that He's present, working invisibly. The problem is that we associate presence with movement, and when we don't see anything moving, we think we're alone. But God is an expert at working in secret. Job spent days and days crying out. He questioned, begged, wept, and God didn't say a word, but He was there, the whole time, watching, weighing every word, every tear, every action, because the test wasn't only the suffering. The test was, will Job keep believing even without understanding? And that's your test too, isn't it? To stay firm even without seeing, to keep your faith when nothing makes sense, to praise when your soul wants to scream, to remain steadfast when all you want is to disappear. And do you know why that's so powerful? Because it's in that silence that God builds the kind of faith that moves mountains. The silence of God isn't punishment. It's treatment. It's process. It's preparation. Because when He speaks again, it will come with direction, healing, and honor. But before that, He needs to see what's inside your heart. And silence reveals things that noise never could. How many times have you thought about giving up during these silent days? How many times have you felt forgotten? But look, you're here, reading this right now, and that alone is proof that God hasn't abandoned you. Because only someone who still believes seeks His voice in the middle of chaos. Job didn't receive an explanation during the process. And maybe you won't either. Not yet. But believe this. Something is being built inside you. Something that will only be complete when you've walked through this valley. And when the answer comes, you'll look back and understand. It was worth continuing. God isn't silent because He's given up on you. He's silent because He's preparing something greater than what you asked for. Trust. Hold on. The voice of God will echo over your life again. And when that happens, not one tear will have been in vain. The testing of the chosen ones is not punishment. It's refinement. It's hard to accept that pain has a purpose. We've been taught to see suffering as punishment. But when we look at the Bible, we discover something deeper. God tests those He loves, not to punish, but to refine, because the chosen ones cannot be ordinary. They must be prepared. Think about gold. It's precious, but raw. To shine, it must go through the fire. The fire removes impurities, shapes, transforms. That's what God does with His chosen ones. He allows the test so that what's inside of you may be revealed, because there is something within you that the world needs to see. Job was gold, but the process revealed even more. It showed that his faith did not rest in his possessions, health, or status. It was rooted in God. That's what fire reveals, where our foundation truly is. And if it's in the right place, you may lose everything, but you will never be destroyed. Maybe you think you're being punished, but you're not. You're being refined. God is removing what weakens you, shaping your vision, testing your endurance, because He knows exactly how far you can go. And to get there, you need to pass through this fire, not to die in it, but to come out stronger. The suffering of the chosen ones is never in vain. There is a weight of glory in all of it. Something great is being born. And the greater the purpose, the more intense the preparation. You can't compare yourself to those living an ordinary life. Your pain has an eternal reason. There's destiny in it. It's no use wanting to skip stages. Gold can't avoid the fire if it wants to shine, and neither can you avoid this process if you want to live all that God has planned for you. There's no shortcut for the chosen ones, but there is a reward for those who endure. If it hurts today, know this. God is working in you, not against you. He's shaping you from the inside out. And believe me, that's where the greatest miracles happen. When everything outside looks like it's falling apart, but inside, something new is being born. God doesn't just want to give you something. He wants to make you someone capable of carrying what He's about to give. That's why the process is long. That's why it hurts. Because He doesn't just want to bless you. He wants to transform you. And that requires total surrender. Remember this. The fire doesn't come to burn you. It comes to burn what no longer belongs to you. Bitterness, fear, doubt, pride. All of that is left behind. And what remains is pure faith. Faith that sustains. Faith that doesn't depend on circumstances but trusts even without seeing. So if today you feel like you're being tested, understand. It's a sign that God is investing in you. And He only invests in those who have something precious inside. You're not being punished. You're being prepared to live the extraordinary. Trust the process. It hurts, but it transforms. Job's friends and the unjust judgments. One of the hardest parts of Job's story is when his friends show up. We expect them to come and comfort him, support him, pray with him. But that's not what happened. Instead of extending their hands, they pointed their fingers. They began to question, criticize, and judge Job. They said he must have sinned. That hurts so much, because when we're suffering, we expect compassion. But often what comes instead is judgment. It's as if the pain itself weren't enough. Then comes the guilt imposed by others. And that's what happens to many chosen ones. They are judged by those who don't understand the process they're living. Maybe you've heard things like, "This is happening because you did something wrong," or "You don't have enough faith." But let me remind you of something. Not all suffering is a consequence of sin. Sometimes it's a sign of purpose. Job was righteous, and yet he was tested. Job's friends represented well the kind of people who prefer to explain other people's pain rather than endure it with them. And that hurts, especially when it comes from those we love. But here lies a key truth. Not everyone will understand your pain, because not everyone has been called to live your mission. You need to learn to silence those external voices. Not everything people say comes from God. Job heard harsh accusations, yet stayed firm. He knew his pain didn't make him guilty. He knew he was being tested, not condemned. And you need to remember that too. Don't let people's criticism steal your faith. People only see the outside, but God knows your heart. He sees what no one else can see. Your hidden faithfulness, your effort to keep going even when everything falls apart. And that's what truly matters. When God revealed Himself, He didn't just restore Job. He also rebuked Job's friends. He said they had spoken foolishly and that Job had been faithful. That's powerful, because it shows that in the end, God defends those who trust Him, even when they're wounded. So, if you're being judged unjustly, stand firm. God will justify you. He will show that your pain wasn't because of sin, but because of preparation. And those who accuse you today will see God lift you up before their very eyes, just like He did with Job. The journey of the chosen is sometimes lonely, but it is never in vain. Heaven sees you, and at the right time, those who judged you will recognize you were faithful, even while crying, even without understanding. And that makes you worthy of the promise. When faith overcomes suffering. There's a part in Job's story that gives you chills. In the midst of all that pain, he says a powerful phrase. "Even though He slay me, yet will I hope in Him." That is raw faith. Faith that doesn't depend on results, rewards, or explanations. Faith that simply trusts, even while bleeding. Most people believe as long as everything is going well, while God is answering, healing, opening doors. But what about when He's silent? What about when the miracle doesn't come? That's when true faith shows up. And Job proved that. He remained faithful, even when nothing around him changed. Maybe that's you right now, fighting every day just to keep believing. Pain has visited you. Discouragement has hit. The thought of giving up has crossed your mind. But even so, you're still here, and that alone proves that your faith is greater than your suffering. Job's faith conquered pain, not because the pain disappeared instantly, but because he didn't let pain separate him from God. He didn't understand, but he trusted. He saw no way out, but he persevered. And that's exactly what God expects from His chosen. unconditional faithfulness. You may have been wounded, but you're still standing. You may have cried night after night, but you still believe. And that makes you someone heaven is proud of. Because faith that survives suffering is one of the greatest expressions of love for God. Don't feel weak for crying. Don't feel less spiritual for having doubts. Job cried too. He also questioned, but he never gave up. That's what set him apart. His faith was tested in the fire, but it came out purer. And with you, the same is happening. The faith that conquers suffering is the one that doesn't demand explanations, doesn't need signs, just trusts in God's character. And if you're here, even in the middle of the battle, it's because that faith is already alive within you. Even if small, it's real. Job ended his story with everything restored. But more than that, he ended with a deep revelation of who God is. Because the greatest reward of faith is not what we receive, it's who we become in the process. Keep believing, keep praying, keep waiting. Your faith will not be forgotten. God will honor every moment you chose to trust, even without seeing. And in the end, like Job, you too will be able to say, "Before I had only heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you." We've now reached the most powerful part of Job's story, the restoration. After all the suffering, after the silence, after the losses, humiliations, and judgments, God steps in. And when he decides to act, everything changes. The scenery changes. Pain gives way to honor. Job wasn't just restored. He was recognized and elevated by God. The Bible says he received double everything he had lost: family, possessions, health, dignity, peace. But pay attention, that wasn't the most important part. What came before all of that, what completely transformed Job's life, was the moment God spoke to him. God answered Job's cry. After so many days of silence, after so many unanswered questions, God revealed himself. And for the chosen ones, that's worth more than any material blessing. Because there is no greater gift than hearing the voice of God himself confirming that he was always there. And when Job heard God, he understood. He understood that everything had a purpose, that every tear, every night of anguish, every injustice suffered, was shaping something eternal within him. Pain turned into wisdom. Emptiness turned into revelation. Struggle turned into testimony. And his faith, which once seemed small, became unshakable. The Bible also says that God praised Job before his friends. And more, he corrected those who had judged him. He told them to ask for forgiveness. Imagine the scene. Those who accused him now had to humble themselves. Those who pointed their fingers now saw God exalt him. That's divine justice. That's heavenly honor. And let me tell you something. That will also happen with you. Your story won't end in this valley. The pain you're facing today is not the end. God is watching your faithfulness. He's counting your tears. And in his time, he will raise you up before the eyes of those who thought you'd never make it. The process is hard, sometimes lonely, but the reward is certain. God never lets a chosen one go through the fire for no reason. If he allowed it, it's because there's something glorious on the other side. And when you finally get there, you'll understand why it all had to happen. Now that you've heard all of this, I want to remind you of a simple but powerful truth. The chosen also suffer, but they suffer with purpose. They go through trials the world can't understand. They cry in secret, keep believing when everything falls apart. But in the end, they are lifted up by God with honor. Pain is not the end of your story. It's just a chapter. Job taught us that faith that endures suffering is faith that transforms, and that God never forgets those who trust him, even when everything seems to collapse. Your faithfulness will be remembered. Maybe you're still waiting for your answer. Maybe you're praying and not hearing a thing. But believe this: God is working in silence. He's building something eternal in you. And when the time comes, you too will see His hand, restoring, healing, justifying, and giving you more than you imagined. Job did not end as a victim of pain. He ended as a living testimony of God's faithfulness. And you will too. Your process will become your message. Your wound will become healing for others. Your desert will become a path for many. Because the chosen win, even when they seem to be falling. Don't give up now. Don't stop halfway. You're closer to the breakthrough than you think. The same God who allowed the test is the God who's already prepared the reward. All of heaven sees you, and your faithfulness is producing invisible but eternal fruit. To close, I want to ask you something simple. If this message spoke to your heart, follow this page and turn on notifications. There's more coming, and I want to walk with you, to remind you every day that being chosen isn't a burden, it's an honor. You are not alone. God is with you, and restoration is already on the way.